Hi, Ayushri.
Hi Abhishek. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Okay, super. It was not working on my laptop, so I'm taking it on my mobile phone.
Yes. Akhil
Mm,
did mention it to me, but it's okay. I think this looks fine to start.
okay,
And so, very good evening. We'll just wait for Jagat and Vijeta to join us, and we'll start shortly.
perfect.
We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes. Abhishek, I think we'll just be joining.
No worries. Okay, Vijeta is just logging in.
So, how are you? How has your day been?
Oh, it's been a little good now. This Friday was good. Didn't
Okay,
have to do much, so I was spending time eating food.
and gearing up for the weekend.
Oh, yes. Much
Yes.
essential this weekend is for me now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's
No,
it been for
excited.
you?
All good. We had a meeting at Koramangala, so we had to make in time for this session, either home or office. But yeah, all of us did make it on time.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. Hi, Vijeta. Good evening.
Hello, hi, Vijeta. Good evening.
Hi, Aishri. Hey, Abhishek, what's up?
All good. How is it with you?
All well, Abhishek.
Thank
And
you so
where are
much.
you? Where are you sitting, buddy?
I'm at office.
Arre
Or
wah.
can I say I'm at Lalbagh with the glass house behind me?
So let me show you where I am. I'm in this avatar office. I just will turn my video across. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
wow. That's a nice
Yeah,
office.
yeah, 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 yeah. So we just had a fintech catch up actually.
Uh-huh.
So, so then I requested for them to set me up. So that's what they've
Hmm.
done.
Yes, Vijeta has been joining us from events every Friday.
Yes. How are you doing, Abhishek? Of course, Abhishek, we are good friends for some time, but thank you so
Yes.
much for joining this. I think let me first. It's 7:31, and this is going to be shared in a very wide audience. So, Abhishek, this is something that Ayushri and of course Jagat, our friend, is putting together. So, what they do is
Mhm.
that bring people who work on the ecosystem, who are working with founders or working with the VC world, and everything to do with startups and the founder ecosystem. And
Mhm.
hey Jagat, what's up? How to good is you, buddy? Nice T-shirt, very
Hi,
bright, very
Jagat.
red, huh?
Yeah.
Very Vidphone. The color. Okay, great. Hey Jagat, all well? Good to see you here, buddy.
All good. Good to see you and welcome, Abhishek. It's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much,
yes.
Jagat. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So Jagat, I was just Aishri and me were just sharing about the background. Greetings everyone. There's a whole bunch of folks who are going to be watching this later on as it gets distributed. So this is a beautiful platform which Jagat, who's a founder, and Ayushri is of course supporting in terms of bringing wonderful people together so that we can talk about what's happening in the ecosystem. So my name is Vijetha. I'm part of Dexter Capital, Dexter Angels, but here I'm more of a community person, just bringing people together. And thank you so much, Abhishek, to join you. Just to let you know that Abhishek is part of JLL. He works with the startups. He brings the ecosystem and innovations together. Abhishek, just to let you know, in the morning I was with the I met a few of your folks because JLL was supporting an event with Dun and
Oh,
Bradstreet. Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So it was all again VC startups funding, what's going on out there. So to just give a
Uh-huh.
quick background that this is something that the Vidphone team has set up. Eureka,
Mhm.
bringing founders together. And for founders who are going to be listening in, you all should reach out to them, because we want to talk to as many founders. We want to talk to people in the ecosystem. So, for example, Abhishek is part of JLL. It's a very, very obviously well-known name in the real estate reality space, but Abhishek specifically works with startups. And Vidphone as a platform is someone that is working towards supporting startups. What can we do with the entrepreneurs, the founders, and the ecosystem? So to set the context, that Abhishek, thank you so much firstly for joining us in, and kudos to the
Thank
Vidphone
you.
team. This is all about making sure that we share what are the use cases, what are the opportunities, how can startups work with people like JLL, right? You're a huge enterprise. You in turn work with so many other of these real estate players. So what can be done, right? Where are the opportunities? Where are the paid POCs? Where is the money? How do
Yeah.
they? I mean, just putting it very bluntly, can you
No,
become a
no, makes
vendor? Can you become a customer of large enterprise like JLL and the people that they have? And of course,
hmm
Vidphone is a platform that is creating hybrid opportunities. So with
hmm
this, Jagat, please a few words from you. Ayushri, something from you, and Abhishek, we want to hear a little bit more from you as well. So what's happening out there?
Ayushri, please go first. Yeah.
Yes, no, thanks, Vijetha, for setting the context. And thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Jagat, for joining. Welcome all our viewers. A very good evening. So, Abhishek, Jagat, before I move ahead, Vijay has already said the context, a few words from you, and I think we can start then.
Yeah, I think wonderful again to, thanks to you, Ayushri, doing great job on, bringing the community again back together. We started this whole initiatives along with Vijetha in the pandemic. I remember our early conversations. So, and Abhishek, again, I think I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while, and I'm really happy to, bring you out of LinkedIn into Vidphone, and maybe we can have, a real connect.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to have, Abhishek, and specifically representing JLL, because I'm a civil engineer by training at NIT. I started my career as a civil engineer. In fact, one of my early projects when we started, the company as well, back in 2012, 13. Back then it was called DTZ, one of the large property management companies. We basically built out their whole property management solution when they were, coming into India.
Oh,
So,
nice.
that's about a decade back. I look back and I see, wow, that's a long time back. So super excited. I mean, this is, as I keep saying, agriculture and real estate overall, construction, real estate are the two big industries that have not been really touched by technology the
Yes.
way it should be.
Yes.
So, that being the stage, Abhishek, over to you. We're here to learn and to kind of, understand this.
Yeah.
Vijetha, you also please feel free to, moderate as you do. Yeah.
Yep.
Ayushri.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Jagat, Vijeta, and Ayushri for this. But before I start talking, I'll have to say this. Vidphone was a breeze to just log in, right? I mean, we've used a lot of VC conference tools. They're all like, give me this, give me that, tell me more about this, do this, install this and that. But this was just a breeze. Click and come in, and that was amazing. Really, I have to tell you that, because we've all been using VCs for the past 2.5 years, more than what we've done in the past. And I think this is just a breeze. Thank you for that. And yes, thanks for having me over here. And like you rightly said, Jagat, agriculture, I'm not an expert on that, but I'll not touch on that topic. But real estate, yes. This I keep telling a lot of times. This is at the cusp of transformation. This is like the Silicon Valley moment, right? If that is, it's in the real estate space, because most of real estate is not digitally transformed yet. We're in that nascent phases. And most importantly, we contribute to about 60% of the global emissions, right? The carbon emissions. So that puts this industry to be on that onus, right? You are bound to be transformed, because it's only with data that you can bring this change. This is not going to happen with anything other than with having data and making those data-backed decisions. So that's why I think this whole technology is, it's rightly poised for real estate to take it on. And fortunately, the past 2 years have been good. Organizations have been thinking progressively now. There's a lot of absorption of technology, both from a user perspective, from a maintenance perspective. So it's exciting. The future is exciting for a lot of us. Yes.
No, thanks, Abhishek, and thank you for sharing that. And so, Abhishek, to start, I think we would like to know a little bit about the kind of work JLL and the Idea Lab, and your role in that Idea Lab under the innovation cell of JLL. So please feel free to share with us that, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can we and our viewers can know a little more on that.
Oh, sure. This is a story that I love to tell all the time. So Idea Labs is like the innovation cell within West Asia. This was conceived 4.5 years ago by the leaders here with a simple idea is because the startups disrupt in a manner that you just can't imagine, right? Not everybody is a native to the industry. They look at the industry from a very different lens. And they're like, why can't I do this? I think there's a problem here. And it's not one, two. We have about, I personally, in our cohort now, we've seen about 300 odd startups, of which 60 are with us right now in some or the other form. We're kind of seeing how we can scale that up. So what we realized is, why let go of the startups? While we are an recognized IPC, we want to be the trusted advisor for transformation. So it's not just in technology. We look at startups which impact people, planet, and profits, of course. We are here to make our partners' life easy, our own life easy. So that's what we do. We are more like a virtual accelerator kind of a thing, or more like a go-to-market partner where startups come on board. We kind of evaluate them. We see how they fit into the scheme of things. We look at it from more compliance perspective, standardization perspective, and see how this can be scaled up. And something interestingly that I have to tell you, right? In the past 4 months of the first cohort going out, our startups have clocked close to $1 million in revenue, right? And our industry, I mean, Jagat was just mentioning he built a platform for our industry. He knows how heavily guarded this industry is. It's not easy to penetrate. So you need to know things. So that's the network, that's the ecosystem that we're able to open up for these startups. That's what we do here at Idea Labs.
Not able to hear you, Ayushri. Not sure.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you for a while. Not now either.
Maybe it's the Bluetooth headset, something there.
Yeah.
If you're using that, possibly.
Yes, yes.
Vijetha, feel free, Chief. I mean, over to you as well. I know you're at an event, and generally when Vijetha is at an event, event centers around Vijetha.
No. That's don't worry about that. See, I would just want to just give some context here, right? So, Abhishek, you said you're working with startups, correct? And even the Vidphone team, of course, you're an entrepreneur, startup, whatever. So, how do we really understand this, right? Like, of course, this is your job, right? You have to bring startups into the game. But what kind of startups? How can startups reach out to you? Number one. Number two is that, like, can they make money out of this? This is not just what is the exact offerings that you have? You want to put some links on the chat because we're going to be spreading this out to a larger universe, okay? And Jagat, you have also been working with, say, KDM, you're working with NASCOM, you're working with STPI. What are the rules? What are the ways? Like, some of the learnings that you have had, maybe even if it could be some of the mistakes that have happened that you should be rectified. So that these are the kind of conversations that will really help the entrepreneur community. And we're sticking this to the community ecosystem kind of views. So please, just crisp viewpoints, and then I have a couple of other things to talk to you all about. Please, Abhishek or Jagat,
Abhishek, please go first, Abhishek.
Okay, thank you. So, Vijita, you made a valid point, right? I mean, how do we start as startups scale up? And we've known each other for what, 6, 7 years now, when I was an entrepreneur in the past as well. So, the biggest concern that I wouldn't say it's the ecosystem. The ecosystem is coming together in some form. You've been driving it here in Bengaluru for us. There are a lot of players who are trying to build this up. So I think the biggest challenge that I think the startup community has to understand, and something which I did as well, was kind of innovating and ideating in my own lab, right? I mean, we're trying to kind of building it there. So when that idea never turns into an action. So I think for it to turn out into an action, we know that we have to be confident of our product and not under the fear that, okay, will this be copied? What's the kind of feedback that I get there? So it's always about, if you ask me what the startup community has to do, it's about going and putting your product out there in front of the market. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine to fail. I mean, Elon Musk himself failed when he got his truck out, and he just didn't stop at that. He's like, okay, I'm going to work on that and come back, right? So that's the single attitude that I think something which I didn't do in the past, and I would advise all the founders anybody who's aspiring to be a founder to do is go out, test your idea there, see what it feels like, get the feedback, and then you can always have a journey. A product is not going to be the one version that you build in the first, right? There's always going to be a product, one, version two. So let that natural flow happen and don't restrict that, chemistry which can happen when you go out into the market. And that's why you should be a lot more active in the ecosystem is what I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think also started my career with Shobha developers building. I look at real estate in three big ways. I mean, or construction and real estate, construction slash real estate. Uh, One is, of course, residential. Then one is commercial, and one is what we call infrastructural or industrial grade. Like, I'm happy to start my career with residential. Very quickly, I moved. I was building out Infosys' biggest campus in Hyderabad in Pocharam. Commercial real estate, fantastic property. Again, it's not just beams and columns. From a civil structural standpoint, you look at these things more. I think with Ayushi, we're having some conversation. Then, of course, we moved to infrastructure. So I was building roads and bridges and highways in Hyderabad. So I think I've seen that. One of the reasons I got out of the industry very early is that, of course, it does take time, right? It's one of the slow movers, I would say, but it's like a snowball. It's like a juggernaut, right? Once it starts moving, I think you will see, massive, work happen. One of the reasons I try and find out why, you have, of course, common floor and some of these housing related and all that, but, nothing's really broken the market the way it should. And one of the things I always think is like, we have, some guys who build products online, like web technology and software, are very, very far away from the construction side or from, and that's probably a reason. Agriculture probably even more. So I think if we go, and nowadays some of my friends are working from farms, maybe we'll find better agrotech, companies when they do that. But yeah, I think it's about being close to that customer. One of the reasons, video again. So I was speaking to RSP, sometime back, in how they could really transform their whole project management, and looking at video, a property, or today I look at some of the things. We have Realtor, which is a kind of project of ours. How does an NRI today he wants to buy a house? And I mean, of course, JLL is probably more commercial, but I'm sure you also have a residential offering probably. So how do they, we can go to site visit, but what does an NRI do? The 3D view is not going to solve it for him. A person there with video streaming this. Open houses are a really big thing already in the US. It's been there. So I think these are just about to happen. These require a bit of time and probably a push, maybe the right collaborations. But I do see a lot of positive things going on, Vijetha, Chief. Yeah.
So what I'm also requesting the audience, we have a few folks in also, that if there's anything specific that you'd like to ask Abhishek and Jagat, and of course Ayushri is also here, you can either type it on the chat window, or you can just ask us to take you on live, whatever. We can figure that out. Just put a message out there, okay? So I just keep the momentum going on out here. So Abhishek and both Jagat as well, right? See, I want to understand, where have things gone wrong, right? You have been working with different people. Abhishek, you meet a lot of startups. We do a lot of activities together. We meet people. We encourage founders and startups to apply for the programs, or we ask them to talk to you. But what are and you keep it as crisp as possible, some of the do's or don'ts, right? Because we want people to succeed out here. We want people to make money.
Yeah.
You can just illustrate a couple of these things, please.
Sure, I could take a shot at that. Yes, Vijetha, you rightly mentioned that we do a lot of activities. We do reach out to a lot of startup founders, right? So there is, this very famous framework which is used in the social impact space. I will take a reference of that. So they always build their business on the SSB framework, which is Samaj, Sarkar, and Bazaar, right? And if you want to bring in anything, there's something which Rotary and everybody does it, right? You have to ensure that your business aligns to this framework, which is Samaj, Sarkar, and Bazaar. So if from that I take the Bazaar part of it, right, and the Samaj also to consideration. So today, a lot of our startups, like I was telling, so they've built something. They come over to an organization like a JLL or anybody in this commercial real estate space, right? There's a lot of feedback that we give back to them. We say, okay, this is not how this works. This is the tweaks that you need to do. This is how you kind of have to shape it up. And that's where they kind of, not many founders hold on to it at that moment. That's when they feel like, okay, maybe I spent a lot of time. I don't have, the acceptance to the product here. See, nobody here is trying to devalue a product. Everybody loves to have hands-on to the best of the products, right? So we also genuinely give them a feedback. It's not only with me. I've heard a lot of my friends from the other industries also speak about this. A lot of the time, startups don't take this feedback. They kind of break it at that, and they think, okay, there's not acceptance. Either they have a flight or a fight moment there, and that's where it all breaks up. So I think it's about constructively taking that feedback and constantly maintaining that relationship is also very important, right? It's from both the ends, not saying just from the founder side, even from the corporate side as well. Having that constant relationship with the individuals, because that's the only way this is going to move. Because unlike the old statement which said nobody failed by buying an IBM, right? That was the old statement in the 80s. It's not that way with startups. Your product might be right, but it might not be the right time for it to come in. So that doesn't mean that if you just cut off from there. You wait for the right time to arrive, right? Because it's always about positioning, target product market positioning. You need to understand where the market is right now. Maybe it's 3 months away. You're trying to find that opportunity. So give it that time. Keep that relationship going. Keep that learning happening, and keep yourself widespread out with the ecosystem. I think those are some things that I see that most of the times I feel that some of the founders just lack off and they're like, okay, no, this is not working. I don't get response. So like, fine, yeah, the product is not in the right time right now, but hold it there. There will be an opportunity which comes up, and everybody will be more than happy to connect with you at that moment.
Absolutely agree. As I said, our work as an enterprise provider started, back in 2012.
Wow.
Underwriters Laboratories, Cushman Wakefield, uh, Rent to Kill Initial, DTZ, Danfoss. These are companies that are like 200 years old.
Yep.
And what we must quickly realize is the mandate of a startup and the mandate of a enterprise, big, large business is totally different. A startup is out there to gain market share and kind of innovate and try things. Now, big companies they are there to protect their market share. And first of all, they're in a defensive mindset. It's totally good because they have to defend first. And then, I would say the innovation is a small part of that. Even in construction, even a small part is a great thing. So we are approaching sometimes from different kind of mindsets. And for us, the reason we have had a lot of success with very, very large enterprises, I would say like the largest in the world also, like, also the largest political party in the world is a client. So I would say like for us, it is exactly what Abhishek said. We don't go in saying that this is our product, fit it into your business as usual. It's not going to work that way. You have to understand the business as usual and really tweak your product so that the adoption becomes very simple in the enterprise. Enterprise problems is classic where the buyer is not the user. And that's like very, very critical. Like Abhishek maybe sold an idea, but he's giving it to his agents on the field. They're like, yeah, WhatsApp hi aasana hai yaar. So it's gone. So that's very, very important to understand the end and to make sure their life gets a lot better. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's the 0 to 1 journey. Yes, Vijay. Yes, Jagat. Until you figure out the 0 to 1, the 1 to 100 becomes a lot more easier. So have your patience in the 0 to 1, and the 1 to 100 will just happen without even you knowing most of the times.
Great.
And the ability to build consensus is very important for startups. So we are a small team, but when you're working with an enterprise, one guy is talking to 10 people. Literally, I mean, everyone from procurement to design to, IT and marketing, whatever it might be. So, as a startup founder, a startup team, you've got to be able to play zone defense or man defense. You've got to understand how exactly you're going to approach the hierarchy as well. And different people should talk different things. The same person who's talking tech cannot go and negotiate procurement, but their goals are totally different as well. To understand procurement's goal. Now, his KRAs are like, how much did I bring down on the price? What's my job? So we can't go and sell quality to the procurement. So things like this, I think, need to be worked out. But then I think it's really good because corporates need startups today, and startups need corporates. They're all business, and they help the consumer. Like Peter Kemp's of Sequoia, everyone works for the consumer. So we have to do that. Yeah.
And Abhishek, 2-3 use cases in reality that you are aware of.
Yes.
That startups could work on.
So specific to to our industry today, at least after the unfortunate 2.5 years that we all spent, the whole industry is moving towards a more dynamic way of looking at things. Right? We were previously more to do with this is how it was all standards. Okay, X square feet, X number of resources, X number of this, X number of that. That was the kind of mindset in the past. But today, a lot of the organizations have moved towards dynamic way of looking at things. So if you are able to bring in data which can help us understand how people are using the space, can I drive some insights out of that? That becomes very interesting. Anything to do with sustainability, that's the top use case. Today, I will tell this to you. In Bangalore, there's a lot of construction and demolition which happens. But we will all be surprised. There is one plant which is partially functioning somewhere outside of Devanahalli, but there's so much of construction and demolition which happens. And all of that is getting into some landfill somewhere there. Is there a startup which can come and solve this? That's like a sitting gold mine, right? So that's one use case that I can quickly tell up. But here there's another concern. You're not just building a product, you're building a product with the Sarkar. You need to be in line with the Pollution Control Board and their norms. You need to be with the Samaj, which is us and our customers. You need to be in the business as well. So that's one construction and demolition from a sustainability perspective is very interesting. There's a lot being spoken about embodied carbon. So embodied carbon is basically the carbon which is captured in structures that you're building, right? So the bricks, your vehicle, I can measure the pollution because I know what's the tailpipe emission. But what happens to the structures like your stones and your cement and your masonry and all of that coming in? Is there a way we can kind of track that, report that, and then can we also bring in some green alternatives to it? Because that's going to be the future. That's the second thing that is being looked upon very high. And the third thing is, of late, the industry has become very excited about computer vision. We've started to use computer vision and robotics in a jugalbandi, if I would say, that you cannot really have a computer vision working without a robotic today. So if they both can come in together and can help make decision making and process execution itself much more seamless. So it's good. So if you want me to give you an example, can I use computer vision along with robotic to man my properties, right? So just a camera with smartness that is good. I mean, I still need somebody out there doing it in during construction phases, which is not secure and all of that. So these are top three use cases that I can think of, which the industry will be looking for.
It's wonderful.
Really
I think
nice.
two of those. Sorry, Miss, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. There was a question saying that when you have multiple Eureka minutes, how do you tune down? Okay, that's something interesting. But Jagat, we can look at the question box. But you were saying something. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Now, a couple of those problems. I mean, at least the last one. With, video surveillance. We already have those solutions sitting in the office. So I'm probably the first of its kind in the world. Really excited about that. Everything okay? Are you able to hear me?
No, we had lost you briefly for a brief moment in between.
I'm just coming in. I'm just reconnecting.
So yes, Vijay, while Jagat can come back and maybe we could look at the questions also, maybe just to keep it flowing, or you have some questions.
Yeah. So see, my pointer here is that there'll be a lot of startups who want to do some work with enterprises because there's money involved, correct? But at the same time, if they can just give one or two examples of how you can, I'm not saying cull or remove the people that are not so good, but parameters, right? I mean, they should have some kind of recognition. Like for example, a lot of people will say that, okay, are you part of an accelerator, incubator? Have you got funding? Have you done some use cases? Have you got customer testimonials, right? So just maybe 2 points on this, and then I think Jagat is back. We can bring him in. Just if you can just take 15 seconds to illustrate that.
Yes, even in our industry, this whole the ecosystem that you're part of becomes a lot more important, like a Washi Institute or an accelerator that you could be part of, right? The primary reason behind it is so many more people are part of that ecosystem, so there's so many more brains mentoring you and culturing you. That becomes very important. So today, if you talk specific to our industry, if you're looking at sustainability, you have the Washi Institute, you have BIRAC. They do a lot of work around sustainability within the system. There is Rain Matter, which is led by Kamath and the brothers, which is doing really great work here. And if you talk about technology today, like even in the SaaS industry, today your SOC 2, SOC 3, and the ISO 27001 are become no brainers at all. You need to have them to be a part of this ecosystem today because that's where you've been looked at upon. Because this is new to us in this industry as well, technology, and so we are a lot more, trying to be a lot more safer when we're adopting technology. So your securities and all that becomes a lot more important. While there are growing accelerators in this space as well. Did that answer the question, Vijetha?
Yes, it did, buddy. Thank you so much. And Jagat, you were sorry, we lost you in between. Now you're back. Yeah, sorry, you want to continue your thread?
I lost track. I think, yeah. So, Hawk is what we call the video surveillance technology. And we bought, which is our virtual presence robot. So basically, you could be at any construction site or whatever. So it's very interesting. So yes, I think I'm having work from home issues. A little bit of the home internet is not as good, and I'm on a Dell, so not my usual Mac. So I think it's a bit of a problem, but Maybe I'll join through my phone, so the CPU usage problem. But yeah, over to you, Vijeta. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. And Ayushri, you're also part of this conversation. And one thing is, you've been talking to a few for the women co-founders and everyone, right? So I like there should not be a kind of way of saying that they don't understand tech. But of all the founders that you've been talking to recently, are there some people who can do something around reality, prop tech? Is there some way that they can collaborate or figure out things? Some examples or some thinking that you have around that? I think we can't hear you, buddy. Ayushri, just recheck your. You're on mute now. Just unmute yourself and try again. Abhishek, can I hear her? No, I can't, right?
No, I can't hear Aishri as well.
Yeah. Maybe you can join back. No, don't worry about it.
I think all our servers have had enough of us. Like, get out. I'm serious. I mean, I think now today we had a bit of challenges. I see that.
No, that's fine. Doesn't matter.
Also, because of a lot of usage, I can see that a lot of our customers are going crazy right now. So, yeah. Ayushri, are you good?
Yeah. Am I audible now? No.
Yes,
good?
you are.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry about
So refresh.
Yeah, no, and I was not speaking, so I did not realize if I was audible or not audible until I actually spoke. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Customer support is like you.
Yes. So Vijeta, coming to your question, yeah, I have been, speaking to a lot of women, and in fact, last time when we were talking about how we see a little less representation of women in tech, which obviously, we also as a community are trying to bring together more women who are leaders in tech, so that they can come and inspire others also to join the industry. But I haven't really seen a lot of women in this space, Vijeta, realtor space. But I think, like Abhishek was saying, this is also a space that's opening up, and the kind of work that Abhishek and his team are doing with startups, etc. I'm sure there would be. I know a few women, like one company called Karmic Infra, etc., who are doing some real estate work. But I still see the representation really less to be able to really pull out and give examples. So that is something maybe we should work on and get more women in this space to come and speak to us, so that others also can be inspired to join this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ayushri and Abhishek. Abhishek, I'll be stepping out now, but I would like Ayushri and Jagat and of course you to continue the conversation.
Yes.
And to the viewers who are there, because we have a few folks here, there are some questions already has come in. So, and this is brilliant. Okay, so Ayushri, the other request that I have is we need to get a little bit of this information out to the wider audience.
Yes.
To make sure that the startups that we know are also trying to
certainly
apply. Yes.
Certainly,
And Abhishek, we want to bring you back later on because talking about use cases, and that's what matters, right? We want the startups to benefit for this. Okay.
Yes.
So great. Please let's continue the conversation.
Yes,
And
thanks,
hey, thanks. And also I want to make sure Dharmeshekar and Saharsh, if you have some inputs, please join in.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So Abhishek, I had a question for you, and I was because I think in our discussion you were also telling me about how the growth ecosystem for startups is something you guys are creating, like within Idea Labs, and design thinking and transformation are some areas that you guys look at, right? With work while working with the startups. So any tips, Abhishek, or any criteria that maybe some startup in the prop tech in this space wants to reach out to you guys? 3 things or 2 things that they should keep in mind. Like any eligibility, etc., that you guys see.
Perfect. So when I say eligibility, it's about if you're able to clearly define your value proposition, right?
Yeah.
Which translates into either efficiencies, which eventually means I'm saving money somewhere, or it's going to have impact on your carbon footprint or your people, right? So you need to be able to clearly draw out your value propositions. That's the first thing that we look out for.
Yeah.
And having done some kind of validation of your thought process, right?
Yes.
I mean, while we look at new ideas are always welcome.
Yes.
We wouldn't deny that. But if you want to be getting in on board and kind of seeing how this will all shape up, you need to really be putting out some test bed there, right? You need to be able to test your theses somewhere. You need to bring out some kind of real life examples And that's where I think it becomes a lot more interesting for us to kind of start engaging very early. While we offer a test bed ourselves, but
Yeah.
we also want to see if you put in that commitment to kind of get yourself a couple of pilots at least somewhere, right?
Got it. So, is there a minimum number of years you guys look at, Abhishek?
No, no, no. There is a startup that is 6 months old,
Okay.
and they've already clocked about 20% of our customer base. And
Okay.
there's a startup which is 11-year-old. They still
Okay.
call themselves startup, and I'm very happy for them. And
Yeah.
they're also working with us. So age and the number of years in business doesn't really matter to us at all. In
Yes.
fact, there's a very large multinational company who is part of our ecosystem as well as a startup,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's really it's very open for us.
Yes, so it's good to see the different use cases, and I'm sure the viewers who are viewing us or listening to us would be benefited by this. I mean, the diversification, the diversity of people that you have. So, Jagat, any thoughts here that you want to share? Hello, can you hear us, Jagat?
Speak.
Abhishek, maybe. So,
Yeah.
Abhishek, I have another question.
Mhm.
You say you guys work with startups across the world, right? I mean, it's not just limited to
Mhm.
India, if I understand right.
That's correct.
So, Abhishek, what is any differences or any in their approach? You see the startups, the startups based outside and the startups based in India. What are the key differences that you notice across startups between like, are there any differences that you would like to
Oh, yes.
point out, or yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So this is not just even when I had done this mistake in the past.
Yeah.
I think very soon in the hunt for growth,
Yeah.
we Indian startups kind of start diluting our value, right? I mean, we start spreading ourselves very thin. We
Yes.
do this, and then we see a corresponding use case. We do that. We think,
Yeah.
okay, this is also doable. I'll do that.
Yeah.
But there's something which I see in the European and the Israeli startups is they're very, very laser focused. When I say laser focused, they only do what they're really good at, and they say
Yes.
the rest of it is for the market to capture, right?
True.
And they're very this. I think the biggest the reason behind this is they're able to clearly identify their market. They
Market.
say my market is X value, and I'm targeting only 20% of that, right? Even if it's just a $3 billion market, they say, I'm only focusing on a 3 billion market. I
Yeah.
don't want to be the next Facebook or the Google out there. Not everybody wants to be a
Not
Facebook or
all over the
Google, right?
place. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something which I see a lot of us in our startup community, kind of start spreading ourselves too thin. We
Yeah.
want to do everything under the sun, which is not a good trait. While it is good to be ambitious, you need to be able to establish yourself as a leader in one or few things, right? That's when
Yeah.
you gain the credibility. The
Yes.
second thing is having a design approach to solving problems, which is something which we lack as well, is what I think. We don't take it as a design thinking approach,
Mhm.
which is very essential. I think I strongly suggest all of our startup entrepreneurs to kind of spend some time, understand what design thinking is, how does it evolve, right?
Yeah.
Because it's always an evolution. You need to understand why you're doing it and what your next thing is. Of course, it's going to be influenced a lot by the market feedback and market positioning. But if you have a design thinking approach, you're able to make those decisions in the right way, and you're able to structure your product lot better. I think these are the two stark differences I see.
Yeah.
While if we talk about the capabilities and everything, we are on par. Our
Exactly.
education systems are great. Our founders are ambitious. They're top notch in technology, so they're really good in those sense. I
Yeah.
think it's more to do about these things that we need to focus on.
Yeah. I think the segment, right?
Yeah.
Like identifying the segment and sticking to it instead of like
Yes. Yes.
more
Yes.
going
Yes.
all over the place. No, thanks,
It's
Abhishek, for sharing those, and I think some very key takeaways for entrepreneurs from the prop tech, real tech industries, or even generally. So, Abhishek, here, I think we have covered most of our topic on your journey and what are you guys doing, and generally also. So we have some questions, Abhishek, that we got as a part of our registrations also. So we would just like to,
yeah. Yeah.
take those. So there's one from Sudeep Kumar Das, who had sent us this question, and will he could not join the webinar for some reason, but we'll surely share this across with him when we share out the clips. When you have multiple Eureka moments, how do you tune down to the ones which are possible versus ones which lack clarity? Your thoughts, Abhishek, on this?
Wow. Super.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, right? When you're a creative person, when you're bitten by the bug,
Yes.
Everything seems to be the Eureka moment. So I think, fortunately today, I think it was a lot more tougher in the past. You had to take those beatings, but
Yeah.
today you have a lot of these canvases that you could use
Yeah.
to kind of get clarity into the one of it, which I use very close even today in my own role as well, is the lean canvas tool. Of course, I've done some modifications to suit my own process.
Yeah.
It kind of helps us understand if this is really viable for you,
Yeah.
right? By
Yeah.
going through that process and having very quick, MVP kind of an approach to it, right? You
Yeah.
fail fast, you learn. So you need to do those micro exercises in between for any thought process to scale up, right? So, and most importantly, is you need to understand what is your core strength, right?
Yes.
We see, if you take an example of a boxer, he or
Yeah.
she knows that their lower body strength is of supreme importance for them.
Yeah.
So they try to use that to their advantage versus going to their upper body. Of course, their upper body is also well maintained, but their lower body, beats any of it. So you need
Yeah.
to understand really where is your strength and kind of identifying how that Eureka moment complements or sits on top of your own strength, right? So that is
True.
important. So I would suggest a lot of the entrepreneurs to try the Lean Canvas tool. It's a beautiful tool. It gives a
Yeah.
lot of clarity because by the time you start finishing filling up the whole canvas, you know
Yeah.
if this is something you really want to do or not.
Yeah.
And doing those quick MVPs that you could do, not rapid prototyping is a very good way of doing things. You don't have to do the entire structure, but do a small micro exercise on it, see how it works, quick fail there or quick win there, and it can give you a lot of feedback. Yeah.
Yes. No, thanks, Abhishek. And I'm sure this has answered Sudeep's question.
Mm-hmm.
And the tool you mentioned, you might, if you like, you can also put it on the chat, so that everyone can, this thing, maybe have
Yes.
a look at it
Yeah.
when you can. So, Abhishek, one more question. It's not very, it's a very kind of an open ended question, but if you'd like to take this, how to, and it's from Sherry, and she's asking how to fail fast or succeed. I think
Mhm.
what she means is, how, what's the definition of failure or, or success when you are starting up? Like, that's, and you like being able to identify it faster, is,
Mhm.
I think, and is the way we can
Um,
see this question, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah, sure. This is, I think, humans' biggest unanswered question. What is a failure and what is a success? I think we've been
Yes.
fighting it for a very long time. So
Yes.
am I as well.
Yes.
But see, the whole idea of, for me at least, is right after having a couple of stints at being an entrepreneur
Yes.
myself, is
Yes.
about doing those small. I would still go back to the same thing which I mentioned the last question as well.
Yeah.
It's about doing those quick experiments, rapid prototyping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That is the only way you know why you're failing or why you want to be a successful person, right?
Yeah.
Because your success cannot be determined by the, it shouldn't be like, oh, if I had this, I would have made it much more, because you will never get what is out there in the market. You just have to look at what resources you have, make those small experiments that you can, validate. You need to have value propositions clearly defined and see how these experiments kind of resonate those value propositions.
Yeah.
That's when I think you will need to learn and move on fast. And you need to document all of this so you know what the failures are, so you can
Yes.
use those failures for your future success as well. So it's
Yes.
all about experimentation, but keep those experiments very lean. You cannot spend 2 years in trying to do an experiment. Well,
True.
it might be very fancy, but keep it very lean. Do those early experiments, or talk to people. Use the SSB framework as well, which I've mentioned in the past, Samaj, Sarkar, and Bazaar framework.
Yes.
Understand how the Samaj will buy it, how the Sarkar will buy it, and how the Bazaar will buy
Yes.
it. If these three people don't align, nobody in the world is going to buy us. So quick
Yes.
experiments, keep it lean, and start going on from there. Yeah.
No, thanks, Abhishek. And I think it's about timelines, right? Putting timelines to yourself, even when you are experimenting, so that you don't get
Yes.
too much
Yes.
out of track. No, thanks, Abhishek. It has been a lovely conversation with you, and I think we have taken, most of the questions that we got. And so, Abhishek, with that, we come to the end of today's session. And thank you so much for taking out time for us and reaching out and telling us your story. Abhishek, anything else before we close? Anything else you'd like to add or you'd like to put out for our viewers?
Oh, the only thing I would like to say is this is the right moment for you to start.
Yes.
But before you make the decision, run small experiments, talk to people, talk to the ecosystem, get your thought process through with what the solution would look like, and
Yeah.
then make that jump, because
Yeah.
this is the right moment to start, and the world is changing, and India is at the epicenter of this whole transformation. So
Yes.
it is the best moment. I think we should see more and more entrepreneurs coming into not just real estate, to every other industry as well.
True.
So it is the great moment. So wishing them all more luck, We're all here. You could reach out to Vijetha, you could reach out to Jagat as well. He's an experienced entrepreneur as well. So
Yes.
you as well, Ayushri, and you could reach out to us. We could
Yes.
share our coordinates. You could find us on
Yes.
LinkedIn. Connect,
Sure.
connect with people. It's the more people that you connect. Your network is your net worth. Never is gonna go wrong. It's always going to be true, even in the age of AI and chatbots. It's
Yes.
your network. Who you know will define a lot of what is the outcome of your activities. So maintain those relationships. Be genuine with what you want to offer back to the ecosystem and to yourself.
Yeah.
If that genuinity and honesty comes in, I think everything else will just fall into place.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, thanks, Abhishek. And like you said, collaboration is the way to go forward. And so we all must, get in touch with each other, other startups, or
Yeah.
whoever is viewing us today. We are here. You can reach out. We can see, how we can work together. Like Abhishek is in, they are building something across. They have in the real estate space. Like Jagat mentioned, we have, something. We have a tool in the similar space. So we all can see, how we can collaborate and grow together.
Yeah.
And yes, so thanks, Abhishek. Thank you so much again. It was lovely having you. We had Vijeta, we heard from Vijeta, and we had Jagat share his thoughts too. So with that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you everyone for viewing us. Abhishek and all our viewers, whoever may not have joined the sessions, please feel free to share the link with them, the same link, and the recording would be available there. We would share a lot of the clippings from these sessions across social media, where so that a lot of other people can benefit from it. So please feel free to share it across your networks. And yes, so let's be in touch and collaborate more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a
Mohit,
great
and have-
evening and a weekend ahead, everyone.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
it is Friday. Yes, let's
It
Yes.
all
is
go and
Friday.
have fun. Thank you
TGIF.
so much.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye.